Well, welcome, Compers, to episode 3, 2.5, but I'd say 3 of the UMCP Podcast. We're here with the number 1 team of Canada, well, specifically for the previous ICPC Regional competition in North America Central. What is it called? Super Central, something like that?
North America North Central.
Yeah, but they're qualifying for the divisionals coming up next week.
Central
We're
Division.
here to talk with them.
So yeah, thank you everybody for coming on. Why don't you guys just introduce yourselves? Start with Joshua.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. My name's Joshua. I'm in my 4th year. Just a lot of, I'm into a lot of programming stuff, challenges, stuff like that. Full stack, web dev on the side, game dev on the side, lots of computer graphics stuff. An all-rounder in the best sense.
Nice.
Cool.
We can move on down. Whoever wants to go next.
You want to go?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good, let's hear it, yeah.
Yep. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm in my 3rd year of computer science, and basically for the rest of my description, you could pretty much copy paste Josh's, like doing game dev, web dev, competitions, all sorts of fun stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, now it's my turn. I'm Yar, and the description is pretty much the same. It's like pretty much exact to the point that we work at the same company, all 3 of us.
Which company is that?
We're just not the same person.
It's FarmLink Solutions, by the way. You can get some cool. Josh has the merch.
We're in the merch.
Plug.
If you need any grain advice, you know who to call.
We give farmers the best solutions on how to sell their grain through
That's really
various
interesting.
reports and soon-to-be AI solutions.
Machine learning.
Okay,
Ooh,
cool.
nice.
So tell me, when did you guys start getting into competitive programming? And also, I want to know, have you been a team for a long time, or where did you guys find each other and meet? So what's the deal with that?
I guess we could answer both of those questions the exact same way, in a sense, because we all knew each other in high school, and we were all a part of the cyber defense team, which is not competitive programming, but competitive networking and firewall security, all that kind of stuff. I was on the same team as Alex. I don't think I was on the same team as Yar, but
Oh, I was on a separate team.
yeah. From there, we just kind of naturally moved on. We did the programming contest last year, for ICPC, and got a score of bad. And then proceeded to just do well this time.
Nice.
Well, what would you say the biggest, what do you think is the reason why you did so much better this time than last time?
Knowing Python, honestly. Python carried us pretty hard through a good chunk of the questions. I don't think we ever pivoted from it on any other questions.
Yeah, it did feel like a Python heavy contest, and a lot of the easier questions were just like super instant Python solutions. Like me and Adrian, we had our team, right? And all 3
of us.
Oh yeah. And we had attempted like a bunch of the early questions in Java, and we just had like random weird issues, and then we transitioned to Python, and we were literally getting questions within
Instant,
minutes.
Yeah. I remember I had 2 of them, and I
crazy.
was getting just these weird wrong answer, this compilation error, runtime error, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm like, I'm just going to convert them to Java. Both questions I convert to Java, just got them right, just right away, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually pretty funny, because we did have a conversation on last week's episode about different programming languages, and which ones are the best and which one's the best to use, and we found that really the best programming language is the one that you're most comfortable with, because that's when you're going to be able to solve questions properly with and quickly with. I know at the highest level, maybe at World Finals, everybody uses C++, just because it's an efficient language. You'll see, like, if you look at like Google Code Jams and stuff, you can view people's submissions, like that everybody on the top is using C++, C++, but that they use that just because of, like, there are some rare cases of, like, at the highest level of questions where they give you like a certain amount of time, a certain amount of memory, and it's like only solvable in C++ for some competitions. Like, I know ICPC makes it so that they're always going to be solvable in C++ and Java, so you will probably never see that in ICPC. But I think just because of that, people who are on websites like Code Forces and like Grandmaster Rank, they use C++ because they know for sure it'll work for everything, so we might as well use it for everything. But if you're just getting into it, or you're like okay, or you just in general have languages that you're a lot better at, I feel like the benefits of using a language you're comfortable with is way better than that like little bit of efficiency you get from C++.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah.
So you'd say Python, you're most comfortable with Python?
Yeah, at this point, it's what we mainly use at work. So
Makes sense.
we're all pretty comfortable with it at this point.
Cool.
Can I say that in addition to what actually got us better results this time was that we actually got some, real work experience, because we work with a lot of data, and realistically we need to work with it efficiently. And for me personally, I just found that, working at a company and solving real life problems actually got me to better understand how to write efficient code. Because in the class environment, right, you just always have the right solution, which is pretty much always outlined in the assignment, what you need to do. But in the real world, you actually have to, do your own research and design your own architecture of how you want to solve a specific problem, and in an efficient way. And really the experience for me.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because I remember we were talking with one of the members of the club the other day, and he mentioned how he's like really good at like fixing things. He's good with like hardware stuff, but he found like his personal issues in programming is creating algorithms. Like, he's not sure where to go to start, and that's why he joined the club. And I think that's like a big thing of competitive programming when you compare it to things like school assignments, for example. They'll have the assignments, but they have like outlines of like, this is what you need to do, and usually it, like from like class and notes and stuff, you can kind of get an idea like, okay, I need to do this algorithm, this, and this. But for competitive programming, when you get a question, it's that responsibility is like all on the programmer. I need to create the algorithm to do this. I don't know if I'm going to use this type of sorting, this type of finding, this type of searching. Like, it's all on your own. You're coming up with it on your own, and I think that's a really good form of experience that transitions well into competitive programming, because when you're in the real world, there's nobody here saying, all right, use linear search here, use this algorithm here. You have to come up with it yourself.
Yeah, like problems that you find in class are designed with that intended solution in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Like whatever you happen to be lectured at for the 2 weeks past. So like, I agree. That experience working on more open-ended problems really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a world champion competitive programmer. I think his name is William Lin, and he describes it as like, there's a passive mind and an active mind. And I think with school, we kind of become passive thinkers, where we're expecting the solution to be told to us. We're expecting to be able to read through something and pick up how to solve something. So, and then there's also the active mind, which is, we're given a problem, and you can't wait for something to happen. You have to be able to push your brain into thinking about, here's the thing. There are also hints. I feel like there's certain things they'll do, certain things, giveaways, maybe like the sample set size, or, certain like famous number theories, like, the way that a number can be broken down into primes, things like that you can know. And if you have an active mind, you can figure out these solutions from just hearing the problem.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely really
I was
important.
going to ask also.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Did you guys participate in Google Code Jam?
I signed up for it, but immediately got swamped by assignments.
Oh.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Like, outside of NCNA, the only real coding competitions I've done, there was a Computer Science Association one that was individual. That was a few years ago, that I ended up getting top 10 for the junior. I was in second year at the time.
Okay, cool.
And other than that, I participated in Advent of Code for the past couple years. Haven't finished them, but I think the problems in there gave me a really good background for some of the questions we encounter on these kind of competitions.
Mhm.
Yeah, so regarding the upcoming divisional competition, are you doing anything to prepare for that? Or are you just like running straight in? Because I know it's also really busy at school, right?
Yeah,
So I feel like
you're
it's
getting
hard
really
to
close to
prepare right
exam
now.
time.
But like, yeah. But like, are you guys, is there anything that you've been doing? Any secrets you want to give out on your, what you're planning?
Well, I know Yar has an exam the day after, and I have an exam the day of, so it's been pretty busy.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I have a few things in my mind that I'm gonna do eventually before. Like I'm gonna revisit some Advent of Code problems to see if I can solve some of the harder ones. There was also a plethora of information given to us from the previous competitions.
Mhm.
So I'll poke through those and get some good, clean solutions out of
Yeah,
those.
exactly. Like I'm sure there's a bunch of questions even from the previous competition that like we didn't attempt, and I assume you guys didn't attempt. Like so, I mean, having something with an ICPC flavor, can help big time because you not only practice for competitive programming, but also practice for like what to expect from them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I do find that
I've
these
just been going.
oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been going through some practice problems. I've got no secret source of them. I'm just going through the same email that
dark web.
everyone else sees. Yeah. Hey, I've got some practice problems. But yeah, like I've been brushing up on dynamic programming because there was one question from the last competition, that binary representation one, that like I got a correct answer for, but it was too inefficient for the system, and neither Josh or Yar could solve it either.
Okay, and that's
So-
as you said that, Adrian laughs because he knows that question has plagued me. Okay,
I remember.
so and here's
Like
the
until
thing.
they released the solutions,
That plagued
like
all of
every
us.
day, Abram was messaging me. Man, I was thinking about that binary, that binary solution. I was thinking about it. I should have done this and this. Like literally every day, he was thinking of something
Okay,
new. He was like
because-
dreaming of that question.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can also. Here's the thing. Like, I was on the same boat with you. We answered it, but I assume we both had similar answers because the way you describe it, like it's gonna brute force, right? And I think that when you have, I think the big problem was they give you mega big numbers, so even big O of n, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah,
So you're looking for those
if that
log n
n is like
solutions.
a million.
Yeah, it was just crazy, honestly. But it's funny you bring that up because I was thinking about it so much.
Nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
were
we
you
have some
saying?
more-
I'm sorry. I know we kind of cut you off there, though, Alex. Were you saying anything else with that?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Just be practicing that.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, but I know like at the Google Code Jam round 1A that just happened a couple days ago, there was kind of a similar sort of question there. It was like it had something to do with like sets of prime numbers, and it was like how can we make a sum of prime numbers equal to a product of prime numbers, and it was really interesting because it showed like for Google it shows you like it has like it separates the question into test sets, so it's like you could get some points if you partially answer it, so it's like we're only going to send you like maximum 10 numbers, then maximum 100 numbers, but then the last one was like 10 to the 15 numbers. So it's like, okay, now it's getting a little crazy. And an interesting thing is a solution with that is that they didn't necessarily like find some like brilliant, elegant algorithm that's like log of n or something crazy like that. What they did instead was like they found an upper bound of there should be no more than, I think it was like 30,000 actions basically. And so they were able to use this like brute force style algorithm, but they managed to just cut down the number of possible cases just from like thinking, and and stuff like that. And I feel like sometimes we think when we see these like these questions where we know they're sending us like huge numbers, we think, okay, it must be like there's like a formula that I just don't know about, like some type of number theory, like proof or formula that like you have to just like happen to know. But sometimes it does kind of come down to just being able to analyze the question and thinking, you know what, we can still go with brute force here. We just have to be able to like have this upper bound or be able to cut down the certain amount of cases to make the question more manageable.
Yeah, like smart brute force.
Yeah, exactly. Brute forcing with a reason.
That's the thing. It's like because when you see some problem is like, oh, there's no like a solution that isn't, you know, maybe like factorial or 2 to the n or even like n cubed, right? You're thinking, okay, that's a problem. I'm probably missing something. But what was interesting about this question was you're not missing anything. You're actually just misunderstanding how even though the sample size can grow really huge, it actually doesn't really change the number of attempts, a number of like brute forces you have to do. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Anyways, we have some easy questions for you guys. Some fun little questions. We want to know about your favorite operating system and why, and please get specific.
Like version number and everything if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with Josh.
Let me think.
Okay, let me actually get the version because I did this relatively recently.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, he's on a podcast every other week.
Yeah.
No,
advice about operating systems.
my recent operating system incursion has been dual booting with Pop! OS 20.04. That's been going pretty well for me, actually. I've been trying to use that as my main OS right now, and it's just I found so far it's basically the same as Ubuntu, just with it looks a bit different.
With some flavor.
And tiling, right?
The tiling is pretty cool. It's doesn't really work for me because I have
go as far as to say it has some pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was I saying? The tiling. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It like is kind of how Windows does its own little tiling thing, but there's a point I was trying to make here. It doesn't really work with me.
I've never even heard of it, to be honest, but I'm just looking at it now. It feels like it has like a Mac flavor in the way that there's like a toolbar. That's pretty interesting.
The tiling's pretty cool, but it doesn't really work for me because I have upwards of like 20 windows open at once. So it tends to get a little cluttered.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, what about you other guys? What's your favorite OS? And it doesn't need to be that specific. It doesn't need to be obscure either. You know what I mean? If you want to say Windows, that's cool.
Yeah. I'll do mine next because I found the exact version number while Josh was talking.
Nice.
I really like macOS High Sierra 10.13.6. And
so specific,
there's nothing special about nothing special about that OS in particular, but because the hardware it was running on, I had this old iMac from I think 2011 that just ran way better than it had any right to. Like it was like 10 years old and with 4 gigs of RAM and an old hard drive, did pretty much all of my second year work on it, and like I used it until it broke. It was wonderful. Favorite computer ever.
Yeah, High Sierra was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like to me, the funny thing with Mac OS, I find like I am not like an intense enough Mac user to where I even recognize the differences. You know what I mean? Like all I really care about is the default wallpaper you give me, and then that's it. You know?
Oh yeah, High Sierra, best default wallpaper.
Yeah, that's actually an awesome wallpaper. All right. Exactly. So
Right, I'll go next. Yeah.
Do you have one?
So my pick would be Debian, specifically because it's like extremely small weight within Linux distribution. I think Pop Linux is smaller though, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Debian is pretty small as well. Specifically, I'm using Debian on the Raspberry Pi, actually. So I got into the embedded systems recently. So I use it there. It's pretty good. It's pretty small. It's efficient because, like, compare it to, I don't know, Windows or Ubuntu or even Mac OS. I just personally don't think that when you start a computer and then operating system takes up 2 gigabytes of your RAM, I don't know, that's just not acceptable to me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and with every update, it gets even worse. I don't know, at least that's what I found. So yeah, Debian and maybe like a small desktop environment like LXDE on boot, it's 300 megabytes.
Wow.
I think that's all you need really in life. But I still have to use Windows occasionally, so I'm dual booting.
Yeah, I feel like I use more on a single Chrome tab than that. You know what I mean? I feel like some apps just have no right being so intensive.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. I remember at one point I was using Microsoft Teams, and just for a small group call, it was taking up 2 gigabytes of RAM again. Like, it's terrible, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Abram, how about you? What's your favorite OS?
Okay, well, I was gonna say, my favorite OS, honestly, I give it to Windows 7. Okay, I feel like after that, I just didn't feel it the same. I didn't.
Windows
like
never hit the same again.
Styling of 8. Yeah, exactly. It never hit the same. I think that I'm gonna be honest. Microsoft went through a rough patch.
Yeah.
And then I'm talking about like maybe was this like 2014 or something? Like they dropped the Xbox One. Ugly. Am I right? like the UI when you press that Xbox button is just ugly. And you get the same thing on Windows 8. So Windows 8, I think we can all agree, is just the runt of the bunch.
Yeah, I didn't really like Windows 8.
Like Windows 10 to me was literally an attempt to get more like Windows 7. Like they're just striving for that golden standard of Windows 7. Now, I'll be honest. Yeah. I don't know about the technicals. I don't know how much RAM it was taking me, but I do know when I used it, I felt like it was so intuitive and like it just made sense.
You do know how much mental space it was taking.
Exactly. That's good. Exactly.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I felt the same way that like from Windows 8 was like not that great, and I was like Windows 10 is like not that they did anything crazy or amazing, but you did feel it got better at least.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I'd have to go with Windows 7 Vista. No particular reason. I just remember using LimeWire and listening to music all the time, and yeah, good memories of Vista.
Interesting. Yeah, like I do feel like do the new Windows systems come with games, or am I just thinking about like do you guys remember computer labs in elementary school? Yeah. They had fun games. I miss that.
Actually, yeah, like where it was a
again?
solitaire and the pinball and stuff.
Yeah, like Windows 10 comes with Candy Crush, and I think like a Minecraft trial version. It's not the same.
Oh,
what?
Yeah, definitely.
Also,
that doesn't
shout
hit
out
the same
to
at all.
Windows XP. Like
Windows
the
XP.
sound effects from that just bring me back to my childhood.
Yeah. That's a good looking operating system too. I'm just being honest. I feel like everything got too minimalistic in my opinion. And I know that's probably like a cliche thing to say. Everyone's like, "Oh, everything's way too ultra minimalized." But honestly, like, come on, like, it just feels like so boring looking at all these blocky icons. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Okay, well, I think we could transition to a more back to competitive programming a bit. I actually did have a question a bit about like your team dynamic, because I know me and Abram kind of talked about how when we're doing ICPC we kind of split up. So we had to. It's just like it was about trust, where we're just kind of gonna try kind of trust each other that we can both work things out on our own, and that's how we got around questions. So we're kind of doing a bit of like parallel processing, programming in parallel.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, the thing about ICPC contests, I feel like this is like kind of their big theme, is they like to get around to like every single topic. Like you'll see things about dynamic programming, say things about graph theory, things about number theory. Like they kind of like get like all the way around. So do you guys kind of split up those topics almost to each other? Like one person's your graph theory person, one person's your algorithms person, like things like that?
Yeah, we did something similar where at the start of it, we just kind of looked and it's like, all right, I'm doing this problem. I'm doing this problem. I'm doing
Right.
this problem. We work on it for a bit. Sometimes it's just like, you do your 3 lines of code. That's the problem solved. You move on to like, oh, I'm going to pick this one now. It's just kind of
Right.
pick and choose. And then later on into the competition where you can't just pick and choose, that's when we choose to collaborate.
Right.
Different this time, of course, compared to last year. But we managed to, just throw programs at each other.
That's interesting. Yeah,
ended up
because me and
working out,
Adrian,
yeah.
we actually don't collaborate, if we're being honest. I think there are cases where we would collaborate, but like also here's the truth. We only had 2 people for this
Yeah.
last one. So I think we were like, oh, if we're working on the same problems the whole time, then there's no way we're gonna get through a bunch of these, right? But I mean, like, yeah, I think for the hard ones, collaborating can help a lot. You know what I mean? But I think another, like Adrian was saying, there's different skills, right? Like if one of you is really, really good with graph theory, then that's your question. Honestly, I think like some questions are hard for certain people and some are easy for certain people.
Like I think I took a couple of graph theory questions but I didn't end up getting them.
Yeah,
But
the ones on there were really hard. Yeah.
they were rough. Actually, I think a good example I could say for myself was that record parsing one. I have a lot of experience with just data processing, web scraping and parsing and all that. So I was just able to go in, do a bunch of splits, do Python set theory stuff, and
Right.
get it done quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very like database-esque question. Just like storing some records and retrieving them later. Like, I feel like, especially if for someone like yourself who works with data all the time, like that must have been like, you must have seen that and been like, yep, let's go. Like, a nice easy one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I know because Abram and I, we were taking a look at like some of the resources that we've found or have been sent to us. Like, for example, the competitive programming handbook or whatever that is. They have like, they kind of have it split off into sections, and like us personally, we didn't do any like special prep for this last contest. We just kind of went into it. We had like a game plan, but we didn't really practice questions or do studying. And I don't remember if we talked about this before, but Abram and I actually like qualified by some weird miracle. So we answered one less question than you guys. We didn't manage to get the record one in time, but when they were announcing it, they announced us as 24th. So we're like, okay, whatever, we'll get them next year, whatever. And then like the next couple of weeks, we just started getting emails saying, congratulations, you qualified. And we're like, wait, what's going on? And we looked and apparently we came in 17th. It was just such a weird thing. Like, how did 7 teams in between us just disappear? Like, we were so confused, but we're like, all right, sure, we'll do it. And that kind of like fired us up. We're like, this time we're going to prepare and all that. And when we looked at that, and we kind of went back to that splitting up mentality, where instead of trying to have us both be like rounded around all these different topics, we thought something that might be more effective is that we just played our strengths. So for example, we're giving Abram all the graph theory questions, number theory questions to look up on, and I'm going to look at the other stuff they have in there. Like, I don't remember the exact topics, but it's going to be something like that, where even in the preparation stage, we're also going to be trying to split up to make sure that if a question comes up with graph theory, we know that's not going to be 100% graph theory. We know that it's going to be all well-rounded, so we might as well have it kind of partitioned to our strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point to bounce off of. Like, we didn't do any preparing. We just kind of like, hey, let's try this again, see how we do. And we just kind of went in day of just like, all right, let's see how this goes. But yeah, I do like that partitioning idea. because you can easily expect them to have the variety of different topics.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do have a question that's more related to competitive programming during COVID times. Like, do you guys? So, what's the situation if you're collaborative on certain questions? What do you use to collaborate on code?
We employed a few different topics. Sometimes we just kind of sent to, like, we were in a Teams chat, I think, and we just started throwing code files at each other with like descriptions like, "Oh, this isn't working because of this. Yeah, someone fix it later."
Yeah.
Alternatively, I think a couple of times we did just end up opening up screen share, doing pair programming like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Like, I think they were talking about on the new virtual machine for this upcoming
Right.
competition. I don't think that they're requiring it, but like you could technically share your code using that. But honestly, I don't know like if you guys tried it, but I had like so much lag on that. I just can't imagine doing a competition with like that much of a delay between typing and response.
Yeah.
You know, the feedback is just
it's
awful.
janky.
Yeah, I didn't try it out, but I could only imagine a distributed system like that would be really janky, especially
Yeah.
on like you were using like the remote desktop thing to log in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The survey they sent out, they asked you to rate your experience with the remote one and then with hosting your own virtual machine. And it's kind of funny because like a few days after they sent out that survey, they immediately sent that email saying like, okay, due to feedback, you can just program natively. You don't have to do any of this. Don't worry about it. It's kind of funny because everyone must have ran into the same issues and just hated it. And I know me personally, like I never use a virtual machine like ever. And so having to like transition to like coding on that, like say I need to copy and paste some code somewhere or like in and out of Windows and stuff. Like I know it's like annoying stuff you have to set up and all this stuff and get used to. And I'm like, why should I have to worry about this if I'm trying to worry about the contest, right? So that was kind of annoying for me. So I'm glad they changed that rule. But I feel like that still is an important skill to have. So I'd probably have to look up into that in the future. But for now and for this contest, I think I should just focus more on the coding.
Yeah, it's kind of like an unnecessary overhead.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
Yeah.
more
I have
things-
experience with virtual machines. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one more thing with collaboration. Feel it's a very important note. At one point during the last competition, Yar had to like draw something out for us, so he screen shared and used MS Paint. So like,
Beauty.
he's in only
That's
the
beautiful.
That was the quickest method, really.
yeah,
Yeah. Good point. It's the closest thing to like a virtual whiteboard, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Unless you're on
Like,
WebEx or whatever, you
unironically,
have
it was
some
the best tool
third-party software that you're speaking on. You know, like just share that paint screen. But yeah.
All right, yeah, I think those are kind of the topics we want to talk to you about. And thank you for coming on. We appreciated talking with you guys. And if you want to say anything else, like go ahead, or if not, that's fine too.
Want to make some plugs right
Oh,
now? You
thanks
know,
for having us.
talk to the viewers.
Play crazy tennis now.
Yes.
Free.
do play.
You
Crazy
can also
tennis,
contact
okay.
FarmLink. You can just Google FarmLink and ask for grain advice.
For all you
Yep.
farmers out there, that one's for you.
They when we told our coworkers that we were participating in a competition as a team, they almost immediately were like, "All right, so can we like sponsor you? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah, that's kind of funny because
So there could be
Good
potential.
idea.
I mentioned that as a
So there could
joke.
be
I was like,
potential collaboration out.
I
with,
mentioned that as a joke. I was like, you know how like esports teams have like sponsors and stuff? Like, what if I tweeted at Elon Musk, can you please sponsor my competitive programming team? But yeah,
Who
I
knows,
feel
there
like
could be,
the competitive
potential
programming scene is kind
collaboration
of
with,
getting similar to the esports scene. Especially with things
Yeah,
like
it'd
code
be
courses
really
and
cool to see
rankings and
that.
stuff.
It'd be really cool to see it explode like that because
Mhm.
it is a really lucrative like thing, and companies can see that you're like participating and doing all these crazy problems, like we need a good problem solver like that on our team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can kind of speak to that with our hiring process. We ask hard questions on technical interviews, and like we sometimes like to pull them straight from competitions, sometimes just make our own like crazy repository of questions. And I presume other companies would be the same with their hiring process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of
I think that's a huge draw.
yeah, a lot of what companies look for is kind of what we talked about before, is like the people that can kind of create that algorithm, as opposed to being told to write this, something that can do this, write something that can do this. Like being able to be given a problem and know how to start it and solve it. And that's just exactly what we do in competitive programming.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why like companies have that's such a big presence in it. Like for example, ICPC has all those sponsors like JetBrains, IBM, Amazon, all those people. But yeah, I think that about wraps up today's episode. So yeah, thank you guys for sticking with us and giving us your time.
Yeah,
I know
was a lot of fun.
real busy around these exam seasons. End of classes coming soon, so all those last assignments are coming out. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate
graphics
it.
test, databases tests, lots of tests to study for.
Yeah, everything's starting to wrap up. Yeah.
Okay, one last quick question. One last quick question. I want to know your favorite and least favorite course that you've taken in computer science.
All right, I'll go first. So my most favorite is Computer Graphics 2. Everyone should take it. It is like the best course ever. Shader code is like the most fun I've had with programming.
Least favorite,
in a long
Computer
while.
Graphics 1. That would be funny.
Computer Graphics 1 is pretty cool too, but you don't do a lot of modern OpenGL like shader stuff. It's a lot of like old stuff like that.
Mhm.
Still a really fun course. I really like computer graphics because it just kind of appeals to the, I guess, yeah, it also appeals to like the competitive programmer's mindset. Like it's really, I guess specifically the geometry part, because there's always a geometry question. Those are like my bread and butter.
Mhm.
As for my least favorite course, I would have to say computer organization. I hate that course with a burning passion.
I'm in it right now, and I do not like it. Terrible.
I have been following what is going on this term. It's very different from when I took it.
Yes,
and
me too.
That's what I've heard from everyone.
It seems even worse.
I don't know how
now.
I would do that because I barely passed it originally. Oof.
But yeah, Alex, how about
But
you?
yeah, that's me.
Favorite and least favorite.
I'm still trying to think of my least favorite because like Comporg wasn't actually that painful. Like I heard so many horrible things from Josh going into it, and I was just prepared for the worst. And I think that like me expecting such a terrible course made the whole bummer of it all easier to bear with.
Right. And just comp courses are just so fun. It's hard to find a least favorite one, right?
Yeah. But in terms of favorite, really can't narrow that down either. But 3170, I think, whatever analysis 2 was, that was really fun. Like, really liked learning about the P versus NP problem and all of its implications. And that's when I really got into the groove of writing proofs and started to somehow find that fun too.
People hate on proofs, but honestly, I'm a math guy. I love proofs.
Oh yeah. And also, I think I recognize both of your names from 2160. Like, did you guys take it in fall?
I think we took it together, yeah.
Yeah, last year, yeah, or like a while back.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because that course was also iconic.
It's a fun. Wait, that's the one we made a song about, Cece. Oh, we
But
gotta
yeah,
we
what
gotta
do
send
make
that
for
to you.
Mr.
You'll
Dixie?
love
I don't
it.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, we occasionally make songs about courses we take.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, wow.
everyone does though, right?
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
something
yeah.
everyone does. You know,
Oh.
it's a common hobby.
Oh yeah, all the time. Programming
can-
practices was a lot of fun, but I had to self-teach that course to myself pretty much.
Yeah.
It worked out well because like I knew C++ already from high school. So it ended up working out really well, but it was a trip.
But yeah, Alex, do you have a least favorite in mind?
I'll just default to comp.org. Like,
Okay.
wasn't as bad as I expected, but still bad.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. That's fair. What about you, Yar?
So for me, I'd say my favorite was Graphics 1 because I haven't taken Graphics 2 yet. So I
Okay,
expect
okay.
that to be replaced pretty soon,
Okay.
next year. My least favorite, I don't know. It's really a difficult question. I'd say that 2080, the first algorithms course, or was it 2280? No, I think it was 2080. Yeah, 2080.
Yeah.
20,
Mostly
20,
because
yeah.
yeah, I'm coming from the mathematical background as well. And like the proofs there, they were kind of, you know, not trivial, but most of the marks that I lost, they were on trivial stuff that was, you know, pretty much implied, but the profs wanted it to be stated explicitly, which is kind of like, you know, it's as easy as A implies B and something like that. But the profs are like, you need to write it out. So just losing a lot of marks trivially like that, that's why I just liked that class. Actually, no, I guess the same thing is happening to me right now in 3170. So that's also kind of bad.
That's unfortunate. If I had to say, so for me, my least favorite, I have this love-hate relationship with Comp 1010 because I didn't actually take it in first year because I had grade 12 computer science, but I went back and took it like 2 years in already. So I already knew it. Like it was super easy for me, but I was trying to think of it like from the perspective of like if this was my first programming course, so like back in grade 10 when I first picked up computer science, and I was like, how are people really expected to know this? Like a lot of the people in here, like they just took like grade 12 math the year before, and like so they're still like getting unit circle in their head and like all that kind of stuff, and now they're trying to like learn all the annoying parts of programming, like missing a semicolon and having incorrect brackets here and all this type of stuff at the same time as having to like think out all this math. And I'm like, should this be like the required intro course, or should it be like optional? Say you want to be in computer graphics in the future, so like, okay, you can take this, but there should be like something like a Comp 1020 more style intro course like Comp 1010, or like should this just be something like optional in the future? Like, love-hate relationship.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I was a marker for 1012, the Python course.
Right.
And like I don't think Python is a good language for just starting out because it can lead you to a lot of pitfalls in general. But like a lot of the stuff you do there is arguably easier because there isn't a huge mathematical focus. Like because in 1010 there is a lot of trig. Like if you don't know trig, then you're in for a rough time.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that just dropped the class or actually had to take tutors to pass that class because of the trig.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like it's an interesting course. I kind of liked it, and I thought the projects were fun. But in the context of a first ever coding course, I don't think it's good in that respect. I feel like there's a way better way to teach Java to someone who doesn't know how to program at all than to like give them like throw all this math at them at the same time, because it's almost like you're trying to like have two things at once when you should just be focusing on like coding fundamentals and not coding fundamentals plus math. But yeah, I do think like besides that it was like a fun course. Like if that was like maybe an optional second year course or like an alternative to the intro course for people who want to get into computer graphics and already are kind of strong with math, then I think it is a good course for that. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on Comp 1010. Favorite course is also kind of tough. Oh, I'm not sure what I had a lot of fun doing, honestly. Maybe it was 2160 just because when we took it together, it was just such a fun time. It was so funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually didn't really like the course though, so it's hard for me to say that, but it was pretty good.
I do share a hatred for 1010, to be honest. I hated the way the class was set up. It was like a flipped classroom.
Oh, yours was even weirder. I took mine like online in the summer, but you took like this experimental course.
Exactly. Like I know it's funny. I feel like since that year, flipped classrooms have become everything. Everyone just has a flipped classroom now. And I just want to go back. I hate them so much. It's just more work. And they're like, oh, you'll learn it better. Yes, I'll learn it better. But it's as if I just took 2 courses on the same thing. It's so much more work, I find.
Maybe talk about the idea of flip courses for those who don't know, all of our viewers.
Flip courses. And here's the thing I'll say about flip courses. The idea is like you do, the learning at home, and then you do your homework during class time. But that's not what anyone does. Nobody is doing that. Literally, all they're doing is making you do learning at home and then literally just reiterating and learning more in class. And if they are going through problems, it's not assignment problems because you still have to do assignment problems. It's just other problems.
Oh,
that's actually a huge problem. And and especially when every course is flipped, you have so much work. I'm only taking 4 courses, and it feels like I'm taking like 5 or 6. I just hate it, honestly.
Wow.
But here's the truth: if I hate one course more, it's 3350. I hate this course so much. I'm in it right now, and it's just honestly, I can't stand it, really.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a
summer, so I'm scared.
That's a fun course.
Yeah.
It's better in the summer, I feel, because you're in the same boat because you're on a work term right now. But most people taking it in summer have just gotten off their first work term, so they already know version control. So that's one less hoop to know.
Cool.
And they're probably also good at working on a team if they had a work term
exactly.
too.
Yeah, like they by definition have software engineering experience.
Right. I feel like the fear and the hatred of 3350, it's almost like a coin flip. It's just based on who your teammates are, really.
Exactly, yeah. It worked out really interesting for when I took it because it wasn't like I was the only one on my team that had like huge Git experience, but like all my team was very amicable, very eager to learn. So I basically just got a stranglehold on everyone and made them learn. And we ended up doing really well. Also, not to show myself, but I'm a teammate for that right now. And some are good, some are bad.
Abram, do you have a favorite course?
Favorite course, I would say, is 3030. And if you've taken 2080, it is just 2080, but just better in every way.
Yeah.
It's more interesting, and I think it's less like how Yar, you were saying you don't like how you're getting docked marks for like trivial things. I feel like with 3030 they stopped doing that. They're more cool with you actually getting to like the complicated parts of the proofs and actually like that's what they're looking for. Not just like implication rules and De Morgan's law, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take it, but like the way my academic plan is set up right now, it's kind of insane because I'm doing the joint math thing, so my schedule is a whack, and I think I'm gonna get to that class eventually. So exciting.
Yeah, you'll like it. I think you'll like. I mean, if you do math, it's the closest thing to math in computer science, I think.
That's fun.
Yeah,
I totally agree with your stuff on 3030. Like everything in that course was so elegant. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I like the course, but I just ended up dropping it because I had way too much on my plate that term. It was a few years ago, and I think it was prepping for a work term. So it was like lots of interviews, lots of prep.
Oh yeah.
On top of like
from going into co-op.
On top of what was it, like HCI?
Graphics.
And graphics. Lots of fun, but lots of work.
Right?
And Comporg, yes. But Comporg was... I didn't do anything for that.
Yeah, that's Sounds like a fun course. But yeah, I think we've reached the end of our podcast now. But yeah, Abram, do you want to take us out, say goodbye to the viewers?
All right, sure. Well, goodbye, Compers. Thank you for watching episode 3. We'll be back next week with episode 4. Maybe we'll have more guests on. Honestly, who knows? Who knows by now? So we'll see you next time.